Oil rose its highest in a week today, buoyed by the prospect of price support from U.S. sanctions on Iran. Although the trade dispute between Washington and Beijing kept traders and analysts cautious, when we are getting another week of expectations, do you expect another step lower?
You know, I think based on what's happened the last couple of days, that oil actually is going to continue to move higher. The recent data came in very bullish. We saw a big drawdown in inventories, and so that really contradicted what we saw last week in the oil market. And so oil had a big move. Just in the last 24 hours, we've seen WTI crude get up over 67.50. So for me, that's a very positive step. It means oil likely is going to move into the low 70s in the near term, which means the next 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm pretty optimistic right now on the price of crude. I think both Brent and WTI move higher. And I think a lot of that is just due to supply and demand more than any takeaway from the U.S.-China relations.
For the second half of 2018, will oil price remain a little soft from your point of view?
So historically, from a seasonal perspective, crude has normally peaked out in the fall, and usually you see weakness in the back half of the year. Based on technically what we've seen in the last couple days, I still think crude is going to move higher. So I don't have any immediate, thinking that crude has to start to pull back. The oil stocks have certainly not acted as well as the price of the commodity itself. And so that could be a harbinger of things to come. Maybe they're anticipating that crude does start to weaken in the back half of the year. For now, I'm pretty optimistic. Potentially, we could see a peak in the month of late September or October, and I'll be on watch for that. For now, I think that crude likely still gets in the low 70s, and the path of least resistance and how I look at things is going to be higher.
Right. Over the past months, the two key themes have been how much Iranian oil will come off the oil market from U.S. sanctions in November and how much demand growth could suffer from the trade tensions. And the markets have the concerns about the outlook for oil demand amid the U.S.-China trade dispute caps against. How much do you think the two powerhouses' relationship weighed on the oil market that we should worry about?
Well, with regards to crude, I don't think there's a lot of effect with how that's really going to impact it, honestly. I think that other items are much more of concern than really talking about the energy market. I mean, historically, that's been much more based on what's happening in the Middle East and really the overall supply and demand situation and really trade tension between U.S. and China. And just looking back over the last couple months, we've seen evidence of that starting to ramp up, but yet crude has been able to move higher throughout all this. And so for me, that means that there really is no correlation between the two, and really it's just proper to consider that in a different scenario altogether.